Welcome back. It's time now in the mini prelim to look at the answer to question 2. If you're looking for the answer to question 1, it was in the previous video. Question 2 looks a little like this. It's a straightforward in your own words question and it's worth 3 marks because that's written in the bottom right hand corner. 3 marks means we have to make 3 points. Each point gets us 1 mark. The question here is reasonably straightforward. It says, look at lines 8 to 11, identify in your own words as far as possible 3 barriers to sleeping well. So to answer this question, you need to know what a barrier is, right? So a barrier is an obstacle, something that gets in your way, something that stops you from doing something. If you've ever been in, a car and it's trying to get out of a car park, there's a barrier that blocks the car until you pay, and then that barrier lifts up. So we're looking at maybe not so much physical barriers, but anything that kind of gets in the way of a good night's sleep. So in our passage here, the first mention of barriers is here. All right, so 3 lines into the section we were told to look at. So anything before that is of no use to us in our answer, which is kind of good in a way, which it means that all our answers are going to be in the next 2 lines and a little bit. So let me switch my pen to a different color here. Okay, here are the barriers. Here are the obstacles. The first obstacle is exercising too close to your bedroom. All right, so if you play a football match or go swimming or netball or something like that, right before you go to bed, you won't be able to go to sleep straight away. A bedroom is too bright, so if you don't have curtains or blinds that block out the summer sun, or if you've got a really strong light bulb in your room or just outside your room, you're not going to be able to sleep so well. If you're too hot, if you're too warm, you're not going to sleep very well. And if you're staring at your phone right before you go to sleep, you won't go to sleep as quickly as you could. So there's our 4 answers. We just need to put them into our own words. If we do that, we'll get full marks. So you've got to think, how do I say exercising in a different way? How do I say too bright in a different way? How do I say too warm in a different way? And how do I talk about staring at screens using different words or vocabulary? Well, let's look at the first 2. We'll look at the exercising one and a bedroom that's too bright. So here's how I gave the answer. That's just the question and the passage together. The answer I gave here is 1 barrier is doing sports or training. Right, that was my way of saying exercise, doing sports or training or keep fit. So that's a fairly good kind of swap for exercise activities just before you go to sleep. So 1 mark for that because I've changed exercise into something else. Okay, next up, another barrier is having too much light. Okay, so this idea of too much light is the same as having a room that's too bright. So I've used my own words, kept the essential meaning, so I get another mark. So I'm now on 2 out of the 3 marks. Next up, another barrier is sleeping in a room that is too hot. So the passage said a room that was too warm. I've just changed warm to hot, and that gives me my 3rd mark. I've now got 3 out of 3, but you know what? I'm flying through these. I've got time. I'm going to give a 4th answer. Why? Because if one of my earlier answers was wrong, I can still get 4 marks. So another barrier is looking at phones and tablets at bedtime. So notice I've changed the word screens. Now notice I didn't stay too long thinking about the word screen, right? Because how do you change the word screen into something else? Do you say, another barrier is looking at a small object made up of thousands of pixels of light that display image, and you'd be going on forever and ever and ever if you did that. So the SQA is only looking for you to keep the meaning, but you can change the sentence quite a lot. So the idea of screens, we know they're talking about phones and tablets. So I don't get an extra mark here. I'm ticking it anyway. I don't get 4 marks. I still get my 3, but I've done my banker. So I've used my formula for this. I've found the answer and then I've changed it. Find it, change it. Now, you can write it much more quickly in the exam. As you get confident with this, notice I wrote another barrier is. You can just write barriers, colon, and then write your 4 answers here. Okay, you could probably write those answers in about 2 minutes, maybe something like that, if you're writing quickly enough, and that is your question done. So those are the answers to question 2, and I'll have the answers for question 3 in the next video.